We're so glad you're joining us on The Perspective today with Mike Sherbino and Julie Stautland. Today, being a comedian is not for the faint of heart. And in Canada, making a living as a comic and an actor is no easy feat. But that's exactly what Leland Klassen has done and is doing right across North America. Today on The Perspective, so many difficult things in life we're all facing these days. Mike and Julie take a walk on the lighter side with Leland. And Mike's in his glory. He always wanted to be a late-night talk show host.
Hey, welcome to The Perspective today. And as we talk about taking a ride on the lighter side of life today, you know, Julie, I came up with a great idea this morning.
You did?
Yeah, I'm going to package this. It's called Instant Camping Trip. Because, you know, it takes so long to get everything to ready, and then you go out, and then you set the campfire up, and then it rains and all that good stuff.
So?
Take a whiff. What's it smell like?
Smoke.
Smoke, that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I did the whole camping trip in under 2 minutes.
Really?
Yeah. It's called, you put your regular slice of toast in, and then the little skinny leftover bit at the end of the loaf, you know, the crust, and you put that in, and it gets caught in the toaster. Oh. There is smoke everywhere. And, you know, for a real good effect, you just let it go a little longer. The fire department shows up. Yeah, that was my smell. I can't get rid of it. But anyways.
Oh, my goodness. Good stuff.
I'm going to package it.
Yep.
I think I've got something that's actually going to work. And I just thought we need a little lighter stuff today. We've had some heavy things on the program. But we're actually at the end of the program today. I'm going to be teaching on handling our fears.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that our friend Leland Klassen is back. Yes. He's always so much fun to have around. So Leland, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me. And by the way, I got into an argument with somebody the other day about this. The end of the bread, the loaf of bread, do you call that a crust or do you call that a butt?
I call it a crust.
See, maybe that's a Canadian thing, because I was like, it's called a crust. And everybody's like, no, it's the butt. It's the butt of the bread. And I was like, I don't think I'd ever want to have that.
I've never heard that before.
I heard it called the heel.
The heel?
The heel is another one. So there's three.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe we could work this into a routine sometime, Leland.
Yeah. I do like your camping idea, though. That is good.
So like a 3-minute camping experience, and that's more than enough. Like I did it 2 weeks ago with my brother, loaded everything in the truck, and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? Just to come back stinking like smoke. And then you have to convince yourself you had a good time, you know?
Right.
Around the fire, roasting meat, blah, blah, blah.
Anyway.
Where are we going today with the program? What are you doing these days to make people laugh? Because it sounds like you could probably use me to come along and help.
Yeah, this is it. This is all I'm doing, is just this show every 3 or 4 months. That's all I'm doing now. So this better be good. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket here.
I'm choking on the smoke here.
Oh, dear.
So there have been a lot of heavy issues that we're dealing with worldwide. I mean, we've had some heavy issues. You know, we've been talking about the high levels of abuse. We're talking about Ukraine, the whole issue of Canada's mental health. How do you handle those things as a comedian? Do you address them? Do you take a lighter approach? Or you just stay right away from it?
Well, as a Canadian who's already struggling with some mental health issues, I don't know if I can answer. No, you know what? It's interesting because I had some shows. I've been working a lot in the U.S. this past couple of years. It's just that's what's kind of been open to me, whereas Canada was a little more closed. So I gave up trying. It was going in and out, you know what I mean, here. So I was just kind of like, let me go where I know I'm not going to get canceled again. But when I did come back, which was April or May of this year, and I had a few shows, I thought I would address it a little bit. And I found out after a couple of shows what, you know, you just kind of get a feel for what you can talk about and what you can't. So it was trial and error is how I figured it out.
And so what would happen? Like, because I've heard you do many routines, and I love your humor, and very, very funny. And you know how to play even a dead crowd if they don't respond. But were you getting a lot of negative pushback? No,
not really. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, comedy is the kind of thing where, like, I've had people, and this is absolutely true. I make fun of my hands, my big hands. I had somebody who was offended when I did that because they thought it was a bad example. They said it's a bad example you're setting for kids for making fun of themselves, and it's just like I don't know what I can do then. That's, you know what I mean? And that's just some people just, honestly, sometimes it's not what you're saying. They've got other things going on, and then just something just triggers something, and then somebody's upset. I've really just tried to through this whole season, as my job is to be a healer. It's like, let's all laugh together and do some healing together. So I've really tried to, because I have some opinions on what's been going on, and God's kind of like, maybe you don't need to share those. Maybe just be quiet and show me your hands. There's a reason I gave you.
You're exercising self-control. Is that it? Right.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Well, listen.
I will touch on just hold your hand up to mine, and let's just do a little comparison. Yeah. Okay. The screen's not big enough. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get into the screen.
That's a great accomplishment.
Can't see
Leland.
me.
Great accomplishment.
Wow. Well, we're all unique, right? But on that note,
like, do you have big hands?
No, I have little hands.
Okay.
But okay, opinion, comments. What do you think of the now infamous Will Smith Chris Rock slap? Was it merely defending his wife? Did you think it was a show? Did you think it went too far, not too far enough?
I think Will Smith's a broken man, and what happened? First of all, let me say this though. Will Smith's like 6'2", 230 pounds, something like that. Chris Rock is like 5'6", 98 pounds. Like, I don't even know. And he took that slap. Like, that was a full on, I'm gonna come back and he just like stood there and took it. I got a lot of respect for Chris Rock taking a punch. But anyway, listen, Will Smith has been to I don't know how many Oscars, and he's seen lots of people being made fun of many times over. There's just no excuse for that. You don't go to a roast and then get up and get upset at everyone because that's what you expect there. People get made fun of. So was he could have been offended, sure. And he could have talked to Chris Rock later and said, man, you hurt me or whatever. But no, totally. I don't know if you know this, but there was a couple comedy clubs where some people decided to, like, 2-3 weeks later or a week later, I'm going to get up and go after somebody.
Really? As a response to this, like a copycat type of thing.
A copycat kind of thing, like, oh yeah, I'm offended. You know what? I'm going to get up and slap somebody. And so that's no, it's not cool. Absolutely, I'm team Chris Rock.
Okay, so interesting though, you talked about getting canceled. We were joking earlier about, going to the States or staying in Canada. Will Smith got canceled. What do you feel about that as a Christian comedian? Is there, what was it? He can't go to the Academy Awards for 10 years, but at the end of the day, that doesn't trigger anything with me, but I imagine it would for him or others.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think we walk a fine line when we talk about consequences of actions. If they're doing a live broadcast and they can't trust this guy not to jump up and slap somebody, I get that. I can't stand cancel culture though, to be quite honest with you, if that's what we're talking about. Again, you guys are making me. I've walked the line for 25 years. Why are you guys pulling me into this?
I don't know. It's just kind of fun.
You're trying to ruin my career. No, I'm going to be canceled for saying I don't like cancel culture. You realize that? No, I don't. I mean, I understand holding people responsible for it, but I think what has become is more of a self-righteous virtue signaling, and it's just kind of like, come on, can we forgive? Can we move on? Can we, if a guy tweeted something inappropriate 15 years ago, let's ask him how he feels about it now before we jump out down. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my opinion on it.
That's a good thought. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I'm a flawed person and I've made many mistakes over the years. So I think that's what I go. Here's the thing. This is the thing about all of us as a humankind, and this is kind of our weakness. We when we talk about, as Christians even, this is what we say. We want mercy, right? For our own transgression. We want mercy, but yet we want justice for everybody else. And it's like, well, that's not, do you know what I mean? Like, God smite them down for what they did. Oh, hey, no, but I had good excuses for why I did what I did.
That's a very good
forgive
point.
me and give me mercy. So that's how I feel about it. It's like, let's let God worry about that stuff, and let's just pray for people. And
well, that's a good spot. Let's leave it right there. We have to stop for a break. We'll be right back with Leland.
I'm Canadian. I flew from Canada yesterday. I flew down, and I was gonna say flew up, but that doesn't make sense. Here's what happened. I'm going through security. All I forgot to do, airport security. All I forgot to do is stick my chapstick in a little Ziploc bag where you put your gels and your liquids. Just forgot to stick it in there, and security guard decided to make issue with it. Right? He said, "Oh, it's actually a gel you're supposed to put in the bag. You didn't put it in the bag." I was like, "Oh, I must have just forgotten. I'll take it now." And he's like, No. I need to confiscate it now because you didn't put it in the bag." I was like, "Dude, it's chapstick, you know? What are you gonna do with chapstick? You know, take me somewhere!"
Well, we're back with Leland Klassen. Leland, thanks for coming on the show today. I know it's early in the morning. You're on the West Coast, but you look good for being up all night. So,
Thank you. I really worked the eyes. I was doing some exercises to get rid of the bags.
Do your face yoga, right?
Yeah, okay.
That's right. Yeah.
I got a bone to pick with you. I've offered time and time again to come and, do the opening part of any of your shows. And I don't know, I didn't hear from you. How come?
Well, you know what? I told my people to call you many times.
There you go.
So I don't know what happened. You know what? Hang on.
It's the people.
Let me talk to my people. Honey. Why don't you call Mike? So we'll get on that. I'm gonna fix that.
Dear.
I will fix that, and we will get you. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what that person, honey, said. Okay. All right. So, anyways,
Oh, dear.
someday we'll do something together.
Listen, so,
Right.
Leland, what kind of humor are you most fond of? Let's ask that question.
Well, you know what? I like some good physical comedy.
Yeah?
I get a kick out of
like
seeing
the
somebody.
chapstick. I love that.
I get a kick out of watching somebody fall down. I don't know. I find that stuff really funny.
Just follow
But,
me around because I do that all the time.
Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I'm a klutz.
I do too, but yeah. No, I mean, so I've got a couple of scripts I've written. Actually, I've been doing a lot of that, by the way, in the last 2 years of not working as much stand-up. I'm doing a lot of script writing. And yeah, I always like, you know what? I need to put some physical comedy into this. And I'll type in a little something physical because yeah, it's hilarious to me.
So here's a question that I'm going to be dead serious now. As you're planning out your routines, what about the spiritual component? Because I know you're a person of great faith, and how do you communicate the hope of the gospel? And maybe you can't do that in every situation, but indirectly you can. But explain to me that whole connection.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. There are, different places where you can do it and places where you can't. If I'm doing a comedy club, I still feel like it's ministry, to be honest with you, if I'm doing a comedy club. But there you're being kind of a light in the dark. You know what I mean? And by the way, that ministry is not just on stage. That's a ministry that goes,
Behind
I think, with
the
all
scenes.
ministry.
Sure.
Yeah, well, it's the wait staff and the owners and the people that have brought you in. They watch you, not just on stage, but after, and they want to see how is this life lived out differently.
Yeah.
But on stage, it's when I'm talking to a church and they want to do something that, because I'll also do some churches where they'll say, listen, we just want to have a community event, so can you just come and make people laugh, and we'll get people comfortable, and they'll bring their friends out to church the next time or whatever. And everyone's got different uses for what I do. I let them use me however they want. But when I do get a chance to share the gospel, comedy is a great tool. It really is a great tool to use. People laugh. When they laugh, they just kind of, they let down some of those walls. They let down some of those things, and you can speak some truth. As long as it's authentic and truthful, I think it really connects with people.
is there something in particular, and this is totally unscripted, I'm just wondering, is there something particular that you would think of, like right now, if I said, can you give me an example of how you share the gospel? And because there are people watching today and they're saying, yeah, this is kind of interesting, and they're not sure whether they believe or not. So let's just say we're live right now.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things to do is my Christmas tour. And at Christmas time, obviously, you can talk about Christmas, and you can talk about the reason for the season and Jesus Christ. And I always, it's funny because I start talking about how the Romans kind of had an expectation the Israelites had an expectation during the time of Jesus, and that was that it was this prophecy and this hope. Like I was talking about the hope of Christmas is essentially how I start. And then I talk about how the Israelites had hope, and the hope was in this prophecy of this coming king, this conquering king. And they thought he was going to be, kick the doors down and all the Israelites into the chopper. Like they thought they were getting, right? But what they got was something completely different. It was this helpless baby. And I don't know. I love the Christmas story because I feel like God sometimes, in comedy, you have to put a little twist on something to make it funny. And that's kind of what God did when he sent Jesus. It was like, oh, that's not at all what we thought we were getting. I don't know. It's
big surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very interesting to hear that, and just trying to understand how your mind works as you, hone your craft. And have you always wanted to make people laugh?
Yeah. From a young age,
were you the class clown?
Not really. No. I didn't want to get in trouble, so I didn't push it that far, but I sure used that as a tool to get through school, whether it was to avoid getting beaten up or to get attention from girls or whatever I was trying to do. I always used comedy as my way, so successfully. I got beat up a lot and turned down by girls a lot. I got beat up by girls sometimes. That's how bad it was.
Oh my!
That's when you knew you had to start, working on your material, make it.
That's when it's like better. I guess that one wasn't ready for prime time. I better go back home and work on some routines here.
Listen, in grade 2, I got beat up by the girl on the back street. Karen was her name. I still remember it. And,
her name was Karen too. That's even worse.
Yeah, you too, eh? And the funny thing was, jump ahead 13, 15 years, and I'm in first year college, and she said, hey, can we go out on a date? And I'm thinking, nah, the last time it was pretty rough going. I passed.
Oh, my
anyways,
goodness.
True story. So much fun being with you. Hey, do you think we take ourselves and life too seriously? Everything is serious right now, but give me your spin on that.
We got to laugh. God gave us that for a reason. And right now is a really good time to exercise that, I think, for all of us. We need to laugh. We need to, it is healing. Like people, I always joke that every single pastor that brings me in has to quote that Proverbs 17:22, laughter's good like medicine, because they want their board of elders to be like, okay, it's biblical. We can do comedy night. But it really is true. Words and throughout the Proverbs, if you look on there, words are healing, and so they can be, at least, right? So and that's what I want to use comedy for. That's what God gave me this gift for, I believe.
Yes, I think he definitely has. You make me laugh, that's for sure. Leland, it's always great to have you on the show. I know we'll have you back again. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, how do you know we'll have him back again? Like, I don't know.
My people will call you guys. Honey?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the call.
Okay. Give me a spot again.
Thanks, Leland.
Thanks, Leland.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.
I'm married, been married for 22 years. And, yeah, she's all right. I don't mind her. No major beefs. You just see people, looks on people's faces. Why would he say that? That is hurtful. No, I've done some good things in those 22 years. Our love has changed, though. It has. You can't keep the puppy love forever, right? It used to be. I remember talking to my phone my wife on the phone in the old days, and it was the sappiest puppy lovey-dovey thing. It was sickening. It was so sappy. It was like right before shows. It was like, I love you more. I don't think you love me more because I just said that I love you more.
Comedy for me is so important because it gets me out of my own mindset. So I tend to go down many times. And so when you have comedy, it just gives you a totally different perspective, lightens the mood, makes you see something that was a disaster, and you pause and you laugh at it, and you're like, yeah, I need to look at this lighter. How about you? What is comedy to you?
Well, I think there's that whole similar component. And I think that as people of faith, we can choose to see, we have a choice. We can see not the lighter side, because life is filled with pain. That's just the harsh reality. You know, if I'm going to be very candid, you know, just even in the last less than 24 hours, I have talked to so many different people about life gut-wrenching issues.
Yeah.
You know, if we were dealing with the whole thing of the sexual abuse issue with clergy. I was dealing with a cancer issue, other people's health issues, and you can just kind of get overwhelmed.
You sure can.
And when Leland came on the program this morning, it was almost like you almost want to feel guilty that you're starting to laugh and enjoy things because everything else is so somber and serious. And yet
we can't stay in that space. We are talking about solutions. We're talking about how to move forward. And with that can come a lot of burdens and focus in that. And so God knows that we need to also heal our own emotions in our soul, and so that we can continue. And it's kind of like, it's like a healing balm so that we can move forward with what we need to do, but not feel like we're overtaken by it.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to maybe even a bigger issue. Maybe it's a theological issue because it says the joy of the Lord is our strength.
So true.
And it's joy in the midst of very difficult situations. I remember my mother-in-law when she was dying of cancer, you know, a day before she passed away, she struggled out to the table where we were sitting to join us in a game. And she cleaned my clock.
Wow.
And, you know, even in those moments, we knew that life was literally ticking away.
Yeah.
But in a jovial way, we got ticked off at each other because of our competitive spirit. And so you're smiling in the midst of the tears. I think
that's
we have to have that.
We have to have that. And I've been through that so many times myself, where there's been such intense pain, and you know there's a major loss coming, or you're gone through a major loss. And yet you see the sweetness in life and in those moments as well. And I think that is the tension we're always dealing with. There's this pain, but God says, I will always give you joy as well, and that will sustain you. You can't just constantly live in that pain. I have joy for you too, and it's okay to laugh.
That's good. Well, one of the realities that we deal with is that not everything is funny. Life is tough. And when do you laugh? When do you cry? And sometimes it's just spontaneous, which is typical most of the time. And this is what happens in the story of Jesus when he's exhausted. He gets in the boat with his disciples. They go to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and a storm breaks out. It says in Mark chapter 4:37, and a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. And he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? Maybe the funny part is he was thinking, why'd you wake me up? Anyways, and he woke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, he said, Peace be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said to them, Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? I want to park our thoughts there for a few minutes as we ponder the question about our fear and how we deal with fear in the face of what is your reality that you're living with. And first thing that I think about is that when a storm hits, like it did in this situation, there are at least three things that tend to happen. First of all, I realize that I'm not in control. Storms do that. We got caught in the tail end of a big storm a few weeks ago, and it made me realize, you know, I am somewhat helpless. I can't control the environment at all. And when a storm hits, we realize we're not in control. And then fear, the second thing, strikes at our heart. And then the third thing that often happens when fear is overwhelming us and a storm is hitting us is we want to vent. We want to take it out on someone. The disciples wake up Jesus and saying, "Don't you care that we're drowning?" And as they say that to him, it's almost like they want to have a place where they can vent their anger. I've experienced that myself. I'm sure you have. I've been on the receiving end just because I'm a follower of Jesus. And when pain has hit people, they say, "Well, where is God right now?" I want to encourage you as we think about the scripture and what we learn out of this amazing story to think about a couple things. Fear is always lurking around the corner. Maybe you've had a good night's sleep and the day's been good so far, but you can go out and something can just grab you and it can want to take you down. And fear wants to always do three things. It wants to intimidate you and say, "You know what, this is more than you can handle. You're not going to make it." The other thing that fear wants to do is that it wants to immobilize you, just to cause you to freeze. And some of you have been in that frozen situation for not just weeks or months, but possibly years, because of something you've been fearing and you've missed out on life. And you're full of fear and you say, "God, don't you care? Don't you care that I'm drowning?" Well, we're going to come to the conclusion in a moment. And then the other thing that fear wants to do is it wants to infuriate me. And then I get really mad that I'm being controlled by my fear. Have you ever thought about that? Here's what we need to remember about fear. Fear, it lives in the future. It always lives in the future. And fear is an emotion. So that's why we can cast our fear on the Lord, and he will sustain us. That's why he says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." I'm not going to be overwhelmed by that emotion. Well, I've learned that fear is always about a couple basic things: loss of life, wealth, and respect. And fear is only present when there's a conflict between what you want and what may happen. And in the face of fear, Jesus comes and asks us, who have we placed our faith in? Remember what he says to the disciples? "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Here are some things to take with you today, because fear is dealt with by our faith and by who we're trusting in. Do you believe that God knows what is best for you and will provide your needs? And do you believe that God is able to direct your going out and coming in? Absolutely. He wants to be there to be with you right now in the midst of your storm.